Wait. I think we're live now. I think.
Are we?
It says here.
I can't see anything.
Yes, we're live.
Are we?
Are we?
Yes.
I don't see anything.
I'm not. Oh, something's happening. Something's happening.
Hello, I can see us now.
That's exciting.
On the YouTube. We're live.
We are live. Hello, everybody.
I'm not live on my YouTube yet.
Yes, we are very professional, as David
So professional.
said. Apologies for the delay. We were trying to get the technology working. This going live business. It's quite hard. Like, dear God, we're live. Whose idea was this to begin with? I mean, we could have done like a simple audio recording like we always do, although they're never simple either.
What were you thinking, Seoirse?
But so when things go wrong, if anybody is watching, then
if anyone's still here,
if anyone is still here, I will just put it out on the Twitter.
Oh yeah, I'll do all that if you want. You go. You do your hosting duties, Seoirse.
I can multitask, can't I?
Look at him. Good for you. Well, go on then.
Okay. Well, it's just a very simple tweet. If you are here, apologies for the delay. Yes, we want to hear from you or see your comments at least, because we are going to discuss all things Monkey Island. I don't know if you guys know, but Ron Gilbert is returning to Monkey Island.
What?
Do you know about that?
No way.
It's yes, it is happening. He is returning to Monkey Island, and so we'll be discussing a little bit about the announcement. Which I think got a lot of people talking. That what is it coming back or not? And oh God, I'm going blank.
Right, so there's this game, right? It's called Monkey Island.
So there's a monkey on it, and they have to go to the island. Anyway, shall we just get started?
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Kieran.
Hi.
Quality Cold Open. Yes. So people watching live, feel free to share your memories. Feel free to answer the questions we ask. Feel free to ask us any questions you'd like us to discuss as well. And if you happen to be one of the developers on Monkey Island series,
God, we're so sorry.
First of all, really sorry. We are usually slightly, but no, actually we're not. No. But this is pretty typical usually. Although I know that Jonathan Ackley and Larry Ahern, who worked on Curse of Monkey Island, I did tag them. Matthew Layton said it's the second most shocking video game announcement I've ever seen. This is probably the second most shocking cold open for a video.
Yeah.
But yeah, so where shall we start? Shall we start? Oh God, considering how things are going, I'm kind of scared to try this. I did it before and it did work.
Okay.
Shall we try to show it? I know people have probably seen this, but I always like seeing this. Try been watching it a few times.
I've watched it about 6 times. Yeah.
Shall we try to show a trailer and see how this goes? So this, in case anybody hasn't seen the trailer yet, or if you just want to see it again, Tom Shipham says howdy, Tom.
Howdy, Tom.
I think we're just going to apologize in advance and just go with it. So if I get tongue-tied, if people can't hear me, if Thomas turns green, which he did do before.
Yes, Thomas has turned green once. That was exciting.
I wasn't even angry.
Yeah, no? He hooked out on us. I think you were talking with Mist at the time. But yeah, shall we try to give us a breather to try and see how it goes?
I can't read the replies or the responses because my YouTube is still loading.
Oh well,
fantastic!
We can see
on your phone,
you at least,
maybe?
Thomas.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I am going to try and share to upload this trailer for Monkey Island, and we will see how it goes. So hopefully,
maybe
if everything
see
goes,
you at the end. Otherwise, this is a really short video. But
if everything goes well, this is the trailer for Return to Monkey Island.
Gilbert told me he'd never make another Monkey Island unless...
Thomas is gone.
Wait, oh, Thomas is gone.
Thomas, are you there? Oh no, I knew something was going to happen.
Oh God.
Yeah. Thomas, what's happened to him?
Okay, well, on the YouTube channel, he's there. There's a photo of him at least.
Yes. Thomas, we can't see you on Zoom, but Thomas is just looks like he's sleeping, bless him.
Yeah.
And we've got a
yes, like the dogs like the dogs in The Secret of Monkey Island. He's not dead, he's just sleeping.
He says we're frozen. Anyway, keep on going. Sure, I'm gonna have a chat with frozen? This is as good as I knew it could be. Excellent. I'm gonna mention to Thomas what's gone on, but you keep talking, Seoirse, and lead us in.
Okay. Well, I will give a little bit of background to the announcement of Return to Monkey Island. So when Monkey Island 2, so this was 30 years ago. Now, as people know, Disney acquired 10 years ago, but late last year, two people in Disney high up at the video game market, they gave an interview to IGN, and intriguingly, they said that they would like the original owner IPs to work on their own games. And then we also knew that Ron Gilbert, and sorry, I think is Thomas back?
Well, he's back. We've got two Thomases now, which will be very interesting. You should probably kick the old Thomas.
Oh God, I can't I can barely deal with one Thomas.
I think if you kick. Look, we have got Thomas there, but we might also have old Thomas. I don't know. Anyway, Casey says, "See you on the other side." David Watt says, "The way this is going, Half-Life 3 will be out next year." Hello, Amy, as well. Welcome on in. We had some technical difficulties, but we are. Yes. So we might just have sleeping Thomas and awake Thomas.
No, I think awake Thomas is back. He's the only one.
No, but we've also got sleeping Thomas. We've got two Thomases. Oh, there we go. He's back.
Yeah.
With this and the Amazon Queen, says Matthew sequel, I fully expect Feeble Files 2 announced around June. That would be exciting. Tom says you can fill in. By the way this is going, Tom, you probably will need to at some point.
Yeah, probably. We're going to need all the help we can get, I think.
Yeah, totally.
Anyway, I was just giving some very quick background that we had two people working for Disney last year, gave an interview to IGN. They said that they would like the original IP owners to be able to work on their games. They were asked about Monkey Island. They didn't say no. And I believe we heard about 2 years ago that Ron Gilbert, it was unofficially that he was working on a game. That's all we knew. He did release Dolores, which you played, Laura.
Yeah, which I really liked.
And I think that they were advertising people to work on a new game or work for their company.
Yeah.
We didn't know anything. And then on April 1st, Ron Gilbert announced on his blog, he said that he didn't like April Fool's Day, which I don't either, by the way. And we don't need to go into that, but, and he said, so to, what is something to cut the tradition, I'm announcing I'm working on a new Monkey Island. And we didn't know if he was serious, if this is a very cruel April Fool's joke. But then a couple of days later, the trailer, which we just played, just dropped. So it's official. Ron Gilbert is returning to Monkey Island, and the very little that we do know is that Dave Grossman is also going to write. He was one of the original developers of Secret of Monkey Island and Monkey Island 2. Michael Land is returning to do the music, and David Fox is also returning, who worked on the original Monkey Island, and Dominic Armato, who did not work on the original Monkey Island 1 and 2, as I think called him from now on. Because he didn't have voiceover, but he did provide us for Guybrush Threepwood. He's returning to this as well, so he will be giving the voice of Guybrush. That's kind of all we know at the moment. We did have the trailer, which I know people have been talking about the graphics and the art and all. We can talk about that as well. But I suppose the first question that I want to ask the two of you and anybody in the chat is, what are your first memories of playing Monkey Island. So when did you first discover? So where were you when you saw Monkey Island? And Thomas, I believe you mentioned that you played Monkey Island 1 and 2 when they were first released, right? So do you remember that time?
I remember that very, very clearly. Yeah, because I played Maniac Mansion and Zack McCracken on my Commodore 64. But Monkey Island was such a big game, the Commodore 64 was not suitable for that. So luckily, I had some friends who had Commodore Amigas, and we would play on there. And especially, we were very, very, very hyped when Monkey Island 2 came out. I clearly remember that we were really looking forward to that one. And we were just not prepared that it came on 11 floppy disks. So it was a lot of disk swapping on an Amiga 500. So nowadays it's so much easier to you have everything there. You don't need to do anything. But there it was like, oh, you go to the next room. Okay, put in a new disk. 2 minutes on, you could continue. And then, oh no, I didn't need to be here. I need to get back. Swapping disks again. So it was really like a whole stack of floppy disks next to it and just constantly swapping. But if you had 2 disk drives, you could keep one floppy disk in there, and you would only have to swap the other one. So you could make it a bit easier. But yeah, it was a lot of work, but it was so much fun. So much fun.
Yeah. I think for me, it's a bit bad because for me, the first Monkey Island I played was Monkey Island 4, Escape from Monkey Island. And I always feel bad saying that because I know it's not the most loved of the series, is it? And obviously it's not really a classic compared to the others. But that's because, as we worked out just before this came out, I was about 4 months old.
And you didn't play Secret of Monkey Island as a 4-month-old? Baby?
No, yeah. I didn't. I'm sorry. I just wasn't into adventure games then. So I didn't play Secret. And then I was getting into computer games when Escape came out because I was about 10 and Escape came out and I asked for it for Christmas, not knowing anything about the Monkey Island series. I just saw it and I thought it looked fun. And I was just like, oh, this looks like a cool game and my kind of game. So I just asked for it for Christmas. And I got it for Christmas and I really enjoyed it. And then I went back and started playing the other games. So it was kind of a weird way of doing it. And I don't know if many other people have done it like that. But I will say I was only 10. So that's why. Yeah,
I don't think you need to apologize because Escape from Monkey Island at least was good enough for you that it didn't turn you off either Monkey Island or adventure games.
Well, if you're 10, I mean...
Yeah.
But because I know, as you mentioned, Escape from Monkey Island is not very well loved, but I remember it's been a long time since I played that game, but I remember not hating it. I mean, it's very flawed, and monkey combat is terrible. I actually quit the second time. I think I played it once, and then the second time I was playing through it, I just quit at monkey combat and just saw the rest on YouTube. But apart from that, I thought that Escape was decent, that there's some good things about it. And I was similar. The first Monkey Island game that I played was Curse of Monkey Island. I think I was a similar age to you, Laura, at the time, maybe a little bit older, 13, 14. I just played the first 2 Broken Sword games, and then I was looking for other games that were similar. And I found the LucasArts games, so I saw Curse of Monkey Island. I played that, again, not knowing anything at all about it. And I really loved it. And then I found out that there's Monkey Island 1 and 2, and I played those. And I did need to get used to the graphics of those games because I wasn't used to coming out after Curse of Monkey Island. Now I do appreciate them now. And then I played Escape and then Telltale's Tales of Monkey Island. And yeah, I would say the first 3 are classics, and particularly Monkey Island 1 and 2, I consider timeless classics. Which we can talk about in just a second.
Well, they were the first games, because I took a long hiatus from adventure gaming, or from gaming in general even. So when I got back into gaming, into adventure gaming, which was, I think, maybe 6 months before we met, Seoirse, the first games I replayed were Monkey Island 1 and 2, because those were the ones I really needed to revisit. And 3 after that one, the old 3.
So your memory might be more, refreshed because it's been, say, 10 years since I last played. It was Monkey Island 2, the special edition on Steam. But yeah, they're great games to come back to after a hiatus. Yeah, so now we have we have a few people in the chat. And so just to see, Matthew Lato says Ron Gilbert said that Rob Paulson would be back as the lookout. He did indeed. He said in a tweet yesterday, I believe. Kieran said, I had Monkey Island 2 for the Amiga, but I was too scared by the swamp leading to the House of Mojo and used to turn the game off there. Never got past that part until I revisited as an adult.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't remember being scared myself, although I was, and I still am a bit of a scaredy cat, but I suppose it was kind of creepy.
It did have a creep. The voodoo lady, and all that.
Especially the second one, I remember. I think the second one was quite darker. I remember. David Watts said, I played on a DOS PC around a friend's house. I only had a VIC-20. The graphics blew us away, but we were too sick, young to do any of the puzzles. I played with a walkthrough. I have to confess. I played the games with a walkthrough. I discovered, again, this was in the early 2000s or 2000. We had walkthroughs. So I did, and it didn't spoil my enjoyment. Personally, I really loved the story and the atmosphere and everything. But David Watts said, just enjoyed wandering from screen to screen. Matthew Latham said, my first experience of Monkey Island was buying a copy of LeChuck's Revenge at a car boot sale for £5, boxed and in pristine condition. Ooh.
Wow. Unfortunately, then Matthew says he maybe didn't keep the box, but did keep the discs and the dial wheels. That's something.
Yeah, no, that's a shame. As Thomas said twice.
I have no idea why it said that twice.
Well, we've had two Thomases. And now
it's the Phantom Thomas.
Two comments from Thomas. But yeah, no, and Broken Sword is what got me into adventure games, but Monkey Island was kind of what made me, love the adventure genre. Maybe want to play like anything that was pointy and clicky and anything adventure game related. It was thanks to the first three Monkey Island games, I would say. And I suppose we can go on then, because Thomas, you said that when you came back to play adventure games, the first two games that you played were Monkey Island 1 and 2, and then Curse. And I suppose want to ask you and anyone in the chat, 30 years later, what is it? What do we think is it that makes these games just so popular? Because I think you can compare how people feel about these games to how people feel about Star Wars, how people feel about Harry Potter or anything that's really popular. Maybe it doesn't quite have the same amount of fans, but I think the way people feel, 30 years later, they're games, it's a series that almost anyone knows, even people who don't play adventure games or who barely play video games. So what is it, Thomas? What do you think it is about Monkey Island series, the first three, that makes them so popular?
They were blockbuster games. Everybody played them, not just nowadays. Everything is very in everybody has their own genre and barely comes out of it. Shooters played that, but back then everybody played those games. Everybody played the Shera games and especially the Monkey Island games, and they are kind of timeless because of the artwork. They refreshed it with the remasters, and I really like that. I love pixel art, so for me, going back there, it was very nostalgic, but it still holds up as well. And so I think a lot of the philosophy that the team had in creating these games made sure that they lasted as well. Because now, if you look back at, for instance, the old Shera games, as you have said many times before, life is too short to play a Shera game without a walkthrough, because you don't want to die all the time. And in this game, it was really very much focused on the story. It was the point and click. Any person can do that. You don't need to read a manual before you can play it, and it's still incredibly funny. So yeah. I think that's mostly it. The same way that we still watch movies from the 80s and 90s. I mean,
I was just going to say, I do. You just talk about it being really funny. I do think the humor is a big part of it, because I just think it's, it really, anyone can kind of get it, and it's just really enjoyable and it's clever humor. There's a lot of different types of humor to it, and I just feel, I might be wrong, but I don't feel like there was a lot of that going on in games. Around that. It was much more, like you said, kind of a lot of first-person shooters. Obviously, there were previous things like Maniac Mansion and things like that, so it's not like that was the first game to be funny. But I just feel like maybe that was the first kind of more blockbuster part of it. I don't know what you guys think, but I just feel like it's definitely its humor helps it a lot, I think.
Yeah, I think there were funny games.
Yeah, I'm not saying that is the first funny game.
Probably like the first maybe blockbuster. I mean, I know Sierra, like Space Quest, Leisure Suit Larry, and all those games.
Yeah, there were plenty, but I think it does it arguably a lot better than some of those games. I think is in the humor. I don't know, but I just feel like that helped it a lot. Maybe I think the characters, definitely as well. Just being so memorable and also likable, I guess, on quite a whole part of it.
Even Chuck.
Yeah, I think as you mentioned, the humor, because just the very first scene in Secret of Monkey Island when we see Guybrush Threepwood and he says, I want to be a pirate. So he's like, okay, that's the objective. And then the first character you meet is the blind watchman, which is itself funny. And I think that could be funny just in any kind of culture, any country that's like, okay, it's ironic. And then definitely the humor, I think. You mentioned as well that the characters, I think Guybrush Threepwood, especially in The Secret of Monkey Island, is such a lovable character. And then LeChuck then, yeah, and
it's all the little in jokes as well, I think, and but like in jokes that kind of work.
Yeah.
We've had a discussion on the podcast and in the Discord about the sort of meta jokes and things like that about adventure games and how it can get a bit much. But I think that's did a really good fine balance of it's got these little Star Wars jokes and things like that that people will enjoy. But it's also just got jokes of its own as well.
Exactly. But I don't think we can expect Ron Gilbert not to reference Monkey Island in his new game. So
of course, I think
that would imagine,
that would be funny. Well, David Watts said it's the world building for me, the graphics, atmosphere, and writing. Yes, not so much the gameplay. There wasn't much new there. I suppose
although the Scum engine was pretty revolutionary.
It was new at the time. And I think you mentioned, Thomas, about Sierra, that you kept dying all the time and there were dead ends and all of that, things that just would not happen in adventure games now. But I think it was the philosophy, the game design, which made it, the puzzles were certainly challenging, but the gameplay itself was, I think, easy to just pick up and play. And you'd know that you just wouldn't die. And there was a joke about that on The Secret of Monkey Island, which was itself very funny.
It's also one of the things that Seoirse took a long time to actually pick up, because they switched to point and click with King's Quest V, which was also, if you talk about blockbuster video games back in the day, that's also one of those games that everybody played. But I do remember, I think it was King's Quest 6 or 7, where if you didn't pick something up at the start of the game, you didn't have it at the end of the game, you couldn't finish the game.
Yeah.
So I never finished the game because I was not gonna, and that's the stuff that you really don't get anymore. And that's the philosophy that makes this replayable. There's a lot less frustration when it comes to that. If you don't die, you don't really need to reload and replay a lot of stuff. So...
yeah, that's a very good point. And on one of the books about Sierra that I read last year, they said that a lot of people just didn't finish their games. I think because of things like that you mentioned, Thomas. And in Secret of Monkey Island, I mean, back then, Ron Gilbert had his own design philosophy, which he published on his, blog at the time? Don't know what you called it at the time. His own design philosophy about adventure games and about game design. And he did mention that he didn't think they should die or should be dead ends. And I think most of us or all of us would agree with that. Well, Matthew later said, I think they issued the genre in a different way, new direction, or at least offering new perspective on adventures in comparison to Sierra. Yeah. He goes on to say, no dead ends, no death, non-linear pathways. So yeah, and it is funny how still to this day, these games are so highly thought of that people just go back and replay them. And I suppose, so Thomas, probably a question for you, when you replayed them again a few years ago, were they as good as you remembered, or did you find any issues? Did you find maybe it was nostalgia that made you think they were better than they were, or did they still meet your expectations? Did you still go, wow, these are really good games? Because I know with some games we go back and think, oh, Yeah, they're not as good as we remember them. But what was your feeling with Monkey Island?
Nostalgia is always a thing, that can always get in the way of something. What I remember replaying them is, yes, I did enjoy them still, especially Monkey Island 2, because Monkey Island 1 was way shorter than I remember.
Yeah, it is quite a short game.
But back in you also have to keep in mind that back then you didn't have internet. You couldn't look up puzzles if you were stuck. So you had to either have a friend who got past that who could tell you, or what I would do, like find magazines that had sections where you could ask questions about adventure games, and then hopefully somebody asked that question so you could get the answer again. But if you couldn't get past that, you didn't have an internet to look up a walkthrough or anything. And later on, especially Sierra was very good at that. They published these walkthrough books. I'm actually not sure if Lucasfilm did that as well.
I know they did for Escape, but I don't know about the first two. Yeah, I'm not sure.
But if you were stuck, you were stuck, and but it would never got as frustrated as I could be in some Sierra games. But obviously I had played them before. I was a lot older because I was a teenager back then, and not as nearly as smart as I thought I was. And now I'm a bit smarter, I hope. So it was also a bit easier to get through, and it was just a very lovely experience. It's like, getting in a warm bath and reacquainting yourself with people you haven't seen in decades. So yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. And you mentioned you played Curse of Monkey Island 10. Do you think that game stands up compared to the first two Monkey Islands, or do you think it's better? Or how do you feel about that game in comparison?
For me, it did. It felt that it was completely in the line of the Monkey Island games. And at first, I probably didn't even notice that it wasn't Ron Gilbert who did that one. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think there were a few things in there that were grand, like Murray the floating skull, and a pirate I was meant to be, trimmed the sails and roamed the sea. That is probably my favorite moment in all of Monkey Island. That whole joke with the song and the orange and stuff. That's brilliant. That's so much fun. So yeah, I for me, Curse was just a perfect third game. The graphics were great. The voice casting was new, of course. So that was awesome. So yeah, I really liked it. The third Curse might be my favorite Monkey Island 2. And that says nothing about the other three, because every time people say, oh, that's your favorite, so the other three are shot. No, the other ones were great. I just liked that one the best.
Yeah. Well, I think who was it here that Matthew Layton Matthew Layton said Monkey Island 3 is subjectively my favorite of them all, even if objectively it's not the best game in the series, but it's a very high bar of quality. And yeah, considering how the developers, Larry Hearn and Jonathan Ackley-Noel, how they had to follow Monkey Island 1 and 2 without Ron Gilbert. And Larry Hearn gave an interview a few years ago, I believe it was with Genesis Temple, where he said they tried to reach out to Ron Gilbert, but I don't know exactly what happened, but they couldn't contact him. And so they had to basically do it all their own way. That they said, we wanted to stay true to the original, to Monkey Island, but still, make our own game, make it as good as the original two, which I think they did really well. I know it's not Ron Gilbert's Monkey Island. I know it's not, what he would have done, but I think they did a really good job.
Yeah, it's a funny game. It's got some great characters, like you say. I think the art style is really cool. I liked the fact that you could have, there was that mix of, if you wanted an easier game, because if you remember, you could choose, like there was a harder option, and that was quite interesting. I thought that was a sort of interesting way of doing it, because you got more puzzles if you picked the harder option, or if you wanted to just enjoy the story a bit more, which was quite interesting. Yeah, I thought it was a really, really good game, really strong part of the series.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Matthew Layton says again, but my point being, I would have no issue recommending Monkey Island 1 because I think the gameplay stands up for those that have played modern games.
Yeah. I think we're all in agreement there.
Definitely. And the song, I think the song and Murray are two fantastic parts. And the whole game is really good. But yeah, Murray, who appears in the trailer for Return of Monkey Island. So I think that's one thing. And Ron Gilbert said it's canon. So
yeah, Ron Gilbert has said Murray is in Return to Monkey Island, which is great news because I love Murray.
Yeah, I think we all do, which is fantastic.
Yeah, we should discuss our favorite characters at some point, but yeah.
Yes.
I hope
we can remember
Phil is back.
Sorry, what did you say?
Phil.
Oh, yes. Stan.
Oh, Stan.
Oh, Stan.
I was like, who's Bill?
No, it's Phil. I had Phil in my head. Why is it Stan? Yeah, Stan the salesman. Who's constantly
Phil's back as well.
waving his hands around.
Yeah, Stan's one of my favorite characters as well.
Someone mentioned on Twitter that they would love for Stan and Murray to be in the same scene.
Yeah, yeah.
It would be like Iron Man meeting Star-Lord.
Yeah, and that if someone also mentioned that they would love you to get another crew together and for Stan to be on the crew. And,
that'd be cool. Yeah, I mean he's normally selling the ships, isn't he, rather than being on them? But
he's selling everything. He's selling what was it, caskets and
yeah.
He would probably sell the ship that he's on, even if he doesn't own it. And and by the way, Lou P says hello. Interested seeing the faces behind the voices on the podcast. Yeah, sorry, Lou.
You must be very disappointed.
I know. You can also go back and listen if
you're too.
Yeah, maybe listen. Yeah. Should we get talking about what we want to see in Return to Monkey Island?
Yes.
I think I'm sure we've got plenty of thoughts and expectations.
So Laura, I can put this to you then. What would you personally like to see in Return to Monkey Island? What would your expectations be? So you personally,
Yeah, I think, it would be great to see some kind of explanation of what happens at the end of Monkey Island 2, because it's a very weird ending. I rewatched that ending just before we started this recording, and I was like, that is such a weird way for a game to end, with this idea that spoilers, but I'm assuming everyone's played it, but the fact that it's his brother and they're in this theme park, and then his parents are like, what are you up to, and take him away, and then Chucky, his brother, has got these like weird red eyes, and there's this whole idea of like, is this a dream, is this some kind of weird thing that LeChuck has trapped Guybrush in? I know there's all these like theories about what's going on in that, but I guess it would be really good to see some kind of explanation about what's happening there. And I mean, it's interesting. I didn't realize this until I looked this up, but I'm sure a lot of people watched for the 30th anniversary of the Secret Monkey Islands. Ron Gilbert did an online interview with the Video Game History Foundation. And I'm sure a lot of people watched that. It's a really good interview if you've not seen it. I think it's on YouTube. You can just watch it now. But I didn't realize this was in October 2020. And at the time he was asked, the obvious question, if you made Monkey Island 3, what would you have done? And he said in it, he would see Guybrush would find himself in hell fighting against the demon pirate LeChuck. So, and that was, I don't know if he would have been working on the game then, and that was almost like an insight into what would be happening. But that's what he sort of said then. Obviously, that could mean nothing. But, yeah. Who knows? But that would be interesting to see Guybrush in hell. There could be a lot of fun had there. But basically, what Satan. I would like to see, Satan. There'd be fun stuff. But what I'd like to see is just some kind of tying up of that story. That would be great to know.
Yeah, I remember when I first played Monkey Island 2. And by the way, evening Yak Wax Slips.
Hello, Yak Wax Slips.
Yeah, but people haven't checked out his channel, do check out his channel. He does really good trailers and let's plays of adventure games. So check out his channel. I watch his trailers every Saturday. They're really, really good. And David Watts says, I never finished 1 and 2, now ruined, thanks Chris. So,
I mean, sorry, honestly, you won't know what's going on still, even though I've said that. It's a really unusual. It
is, and I remember watching when I first played it, I was like, wait, this came out of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what was your thoughts? So we can go back to Thomas when you played and replayed. What were your thoughts on the ending of Monkey Island 2? Did you like it or what?
Same as Laura, I was just bonkers.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Where was he going to go with this? It's like, okay, it's very meta, and that sort of fits in the mood. But I was like, okay.
And then what's next? Really?
What's next? Yeah. And then Curse just ignored it all. Okay, we'll just continue on. So I'm when it comes to expectations, I just hope he gets to make the best game that he wants to make, and we get to revisit some old favorites. But also, I hope he introduces a lot of new things, because that we'll be talking about all the new cool characters that he introduced, or locales or whatever. I just want him to make the best game, and I'm gonna play it anyway. I don't really have expectations beyond the story or anything, because I have no idea what's going on in his head.
I think that's a really good point, actually, Thomas, that let's hope he doesn't, and I don't think he will, but let's just hope he doesn't just go like the sort of the nostalgic route of, hey, all these characters that which would be great in a way, but let's hope he does innovate, and obviously not just him, or Dave Grossman as well, and everyone else working on it, and introduces new people that we're gonna love, not just all the old fan favorites. That's great, and obviously we will want to see some of that, but yeah, some new locations, like you say, some new interesting ideas. Totally, that would be great.
Yeah, no, I remember the ending, which at first I didn't really like, and still I'm kind of like, well, this just kind of came out of nowhere, and it did feel kind of like a riff on Star Wars. But
yes, yeah.
And how do you guys feel if it turned out that it was all a dream? They are actually brothers. Because Bill Tiller, now I may be wrong, I may be misquoting, but Bill Tiller, who did the art on Curse of Monkey Island, he said he gave an interview many years ago now, saying that was kind of the plan from Ron Gilbert. Now, it's never been confirmed, so take this with a grain of salt, but that they were planning to be brothers and be at an actual amusement park, and all the islands were kind of. I personally would not like that. I mean, obviously Ron Gilbert, he said, I want him to make the game that he wants to make. But I personally, I don't like that it's all a dream.
I agree. I mean, he has said that the game he was going to make, were he able to have made it straight, after Monkey Island 2, isn't the game he's made now, because obviously so much has changed, and so much is different.
Yeah.
So we'll never get that game. But that might be for the best if it was going to all be a dream.
Because people change, and he himself said on his blog, his Grumpy Gamer blog, which I don't know if we can put a link to it, back in 2013, that he said that it won't be the same, that he's changed. Hopefully he's improved since then. But yeah, it would be.
Trying it there.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Otherwise, search Ron Gilbert's. I think it was 2013, wasn't it, when he did it?
Yeah, back 10 years. And since then, a lot of things have changed, I'm sure, as well. The world has changed, certainly. We've all changed. And also, it's other people working on it. As we mentioned, Dave Grossman, David Fox, and Lucasfilm, I'm sure, will have a say on what they want to see as well. But yeah, hopefully the main thing is that he gets to make the game that he wants to make and that he's proud of. And so Eddie, we've mentioned some of the characters, hoping there'll be some new characters. Are there any characters from any of the games? And I'm including Escape and Tales as well. Are there any characters from any of those games that you guys would like to see return? We mentioned Stan, we mentioned Murray. Is there any that you can remember?
I mean, Haggis McMutton, that would be great. Although technically he's in 3, so he would be sort of being there before he's actually in the series, but that would be great. Carla, perhaps, the sword master.
Elaine has to be in there somehow.
That's a good
Elaine has to be in there.
Wally would be great to see again.
Yeah, Wally, yeah.
He's quite cute, isn't he?
And maybe Largo LeWinch, maybe. I can't remember what happened to him in Monkey Island 2. But people have mentioned him. And from Tales, I would like to see as well Morgan Lefray, who was a new character introduced, who was really, really good.
I don't remember that. I think I only played the first chapter of Tales
same
of
with
Monkey
me,
Island,
unfortunately. I need to go back and play them all.
I need to replay that, yeah.
Yeah, no, me too. What about are there any characters you would not like to see return from any of the games?
Ozzy Mandrill from
I know
Escape.
People don't. I didn't mind him that much, but yeah, he kind of didn't really fit, I don't think, into the whole series. But I thought he was quite funny. But
yeah, a lot of people saying Morgan Le Fay they'd like to see return back. I think a lot of love for Morgan.
No,
Le Fay.
she was a really great character. I think one of the best in the entire series.
I would love to see Jack Sparrow.
Oh wow!
Because let's be honest. Let's be honest. Pirates of the Caribbean is very, very much based on Monkey Island.
Yeah,
very very
what?
By Monkey Island.
There was an article about that I read actually. About why was Pirates of the Caribbean so was it really ripping off Monkey Island? And they said apparently that Monkey Island was very nearly a movie with Spielberg attached at one point, but then it just devolved into Pirates of the Caribbean. But yeah, again, people are saying Matthew Ladle says Ozymandias Rupert Murdoch parody was way ahead of its time, I think. Yeah. And Kieran actually had a question up above in the chat. Would we like the new game to more reflect Monkey Island 1, Monkey Island 2, or Monkey Island 3 in mood? So if we can take our minds back to those games, and I know, Thomas, you might be more refreshed than us. Which mood? Because I think Monkey Island 3 was probably the most comedic. Monkey Island 2 was darkest, and Monkey Island 1.
Again, like in Star Wars, really. But
Monkey Island 3 was a lot of more slapsticky in my memory. I don't know. I think that totally depends on the story he wants to tell. It's still a story about ghost pirates, so I don't mind if there's some horror in there. I'll hopefully it'll be its own thing. So.
I think for me, probably 3. I'd like to see it. It's the sort of return. It's I want something that's going to make me feel, happy and joyous. I want something that I don't mind if it's got a bit of like weirdness about it and like spookiness. But yeah, I'd like to see something fun and like just something I'm going to play it and I'm going to be like, oh, I'm back. This is great. So I guess that's probably more kind of the upbeat mood of 3, I think.
Yeah, I think the world is dark enough as it is. It would be nice if it is back to that same kind of joyous mood, as you mentioned. Yeah, or maybe if it was like a combination, like Secret, which was still fun, still funny. I mean, it wouldn't be bad if it was like Monkey Island 2, but yeah, I think as long as it's fun and uplifting, as you said, I think that would be really interesting. Again,
well, there's a lot of comedic horror movies. I mean, they're
absolutely.
So I mean, you can be scary and funny.
Yeah, so. Totally.
Absolutely. And then more in general now. Well, first of all, Kieran said he would like to see Elaine more like how she was in the first 2 games. She's written worse and worse as the series went on. She was badass in the first 2. Yeah, she was really well written by Ron Gilbert, I would say. And we barely saw, from what I remember, we barely saw her in Curse. And
well, she was a big gold statue, wasn't
she?
Yeah.
Which is rubbish.
She didn't get fridge, she gets statued.
Yeah. So hopefully that won't happen. Oh, exactly. We have her Elaine here. And yeah, Matthew Lato said, I think the game's mood reflects how Gilbert is presented. He's quite harsh and cruel in Monkey Island 2 at times, which gives it a darker edge. I do like how gradually good-natured he gets from Curse to Tails. That's true. And the frog says, what it needs is some King's Quest style pixel balancing when climbing any sort of steps or stairs.
Jesus. Yeah. 1 pixel too far to the right, and there you go.
Yeah.
Dead.
But what do you guys think that this new Monkey Island game, because it's been 30 years in the making, we've been waiting 30 years, Ron Gilbert's been waiting 30 years.
Over 30 years.
Over 30 years now. Do you think that it can meet expectations? Do you think people's expectations will be too high, or do you think the opposite? Maybe do you think that people might overpraise it because it's Ron Gilbert, because it's Monkey Island, and overlook any possible flaws it may have? Or do you think it'll matter that people will judge it on its own merits?
I hope they do. I know. Well, I will try to do, and I know we will try to do that.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
it's the same like when Star Wars returned. I was like, if I look at the recent Star Wars trilogy, I loved the episode 7, but for me it became worse after that, and it could very well be that I'm gonna love this one, but I'm not gonna love something purely because it's based on something that I used to love 30 years ago. He still needs to deliver a good game.
Yeah. And I hope people do judge it on that. Obviously, the issue is as well is that people judge it harshly because of people having these fond memories of the game and this nostalgia, and how can it ever compete with the stories that we've got in our head of the game? So that's the other issue that people, there's a backlash from fans. So it it's kind of a brave thing that they're doing in going back to this, because it could really be, it's very difficult to get it right, isn't it? I'm going to try my best not to compare it. I think you can't help but compare these things, though. How can you not? Like, you've got to, haven't you? I mean,
it's a sequel, of course you're going to compare them.
Yeah. From Ron Gilbert.
Yeah, exactly.
You just have to keep in mind that he is going to make his story, his game, and not the game that you have in your head.
Yeah, Seoirse.
Yes, Seoirse, especially you. What's this whole Loom thing, by the way?
You mean Loom? So you mean the latest masterpiece of fantasy storytelling from Lucasfilm TM Brian Moriarty TM? Why is it extraordinary adventure with an interface of magic, stunning high resolution 3D landscapes, sophisticated score and musical effects, not to mention the detailed animation and special effects, elegant point-and-click control of characters, objects, and magic spells. Beat the rush. Go out and buy Loom TM today. Which I did not just read out.
Nope.
and I have played it. Now, I think that's one of the very few LucasArts games I haven't actually played, but I've
played it. It's one of my favorite Lucasfilm games. It's a very beautiful story that would also benefit from revisiting. I would love to revisit that universe.
This is worth talking about very quickly. Do we think that this is going to open the door for there to be more more sequels, more, not necessarily even remasters, like you said, would be great, but is this going to open the door? Because I honestly thought the whole point with Monkey Island never returning, I thought, well, there's Ron Gilbert, the IP is Disney's as far as I'm aware, but the IP is Disney still, and so it's not going to get made because Ron wants it to be his and he wants his own artistic value and everything, but suddenly it's getting made. So what does that mean for the other games? I don't know what people think about that.
Yeah, it's a very interesting point. I mean, could there be more sequels to Monkey Island after this? Or maybe
that's it.
That totally depends on how financially well it does.
Yeah,
and critically, of course. I mean, if we want to get more sequels, then people need to buy this game. It's a simple.
But I don't mean just Monkey Island. I mean like other.
Yeah, but I mean, the genre is thriving. Let's be honest. There is, but it's
not dead, now. Is it? It's not drying up, is it?
Absolutely not. And Ron Gilbert and the Williamses returning is not like they're not some kind of saviors of the adventure game genre, because the genre doesn't need saving. However, this could bring previous IP back into the spotlight, and some of those IPs really deserve that. As you said, Loom. I loved Loom. Loom is brilliant. Loom is beautiful. It's a unique story. I would love to get some more of that, but that all depends on how well. If this game is bad and doesn't sell, then the rest of the IP will probably not be looked at. However, if this does really well and it's a good game, and it needs to be both, it needs to be financially done well, it needs to be critically received well, who knows what happens? Who knows?
Exciting.
Yeah, we shall see. I think it probably will sell well, at least, because many people are excited about it, even people who don't usually play adventure games. And there was one article that said, this Monkey Island, it revived the genre. Now, I think I might let this go this time, because I think it has possibly revived mainstream interest in point-and-click adventure games. We know that adventure game point-and-click games are nowhere near dead, but mainstream, apart from games like Life is Strange and that, they don't usually get talked about in the mainstream. But I think this game will. And as you mentioned, Thomas, Roberta and Ken Williams are also back this year.
Yeah.
The Fourth Siberia was also released, which is getting mainstream positive reviews, really good reviews as well. And other IPs, Yak Rackless mentioned that he's still annoyed that the Full Throttle sequel was cancelled. It would be interesting if Tim Schafer would return to the adventure game genre. If you worth if he was
Grim
offered
Fandango 2. Come on,
would we be happy with that, or a new adventure game?
Yes.
I mean, it could be if it's done well. We're also getting Amazon Queen 2 yet, return to Amazon.
We've had Beyond the Steel Sky, Matthew says.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've had that, which I really liked. I know
maybe we'll get really lucky. We'll get another Gabriel Knight, or maybe
that's what I was going to ask.
Or something.
Gabriel Knight is the one IP that I really, really want. I spoke to Robert Holmes. Still, I mean, I would love to speak to Jane Jensen. I don't know if I ever will or not, but I would love for Gabriel Knight 4 to be released, or for Jane Jensen to have the option to make another Gabriel Knight 4. And I think that now that is more possible with this announcement of Monkey Island. Is there any other particular IP that you guys would like? I mean, you mentioned Grim Fandango 2, Laura. Would you guys like another Full Throttle?
I wasn't as big I'm sorry for the people in chat, but I wasn't as big a fan of Full Throttle. I'll be honest, it just didn't do it for me. I mean, Day of the Tentacle, a sequel to that. I mean, I know technically it is sort of a sequel as it is, but sort of a standalone, but with references to Maniac Mansion. But I would love something, because that's a really good game, and I almost feel like sometimes it gets a bit overlooked because of the Monkey Islands and Broken Swords. But the time traveling aspects of that is really sharp and really well done. The writing is good. It's a really, really good game. I don't know what they would do, because it kind of wraps itself all up. But if they could do more with the time traveling, that would be great.
Maybe a new Indiana Jones sequel, I think.
Yeah, Indiana Jones.
There is a new Indiana Jones game. Last I heard a couple of years ago that's being in development, but I don't think it is point and click, or I think it's more action adventure. But yeah, another Indiana Jones point and click could be interesting. Now Matthew Latham mentions Unavowed 2. Well, Dave Gilbert. So
different Gilbert.
He himself tweeted that the day that Monkey Island was announced, Return Monkey Island was announced, that he got 200 more followers during the
night. Oh no! Come on, guys, it's a different guy.
He said, sorry to disappoint you in advance. He said, I am not an amalgamation of Dave Grossman and Ron Gilbert, but he's still really, really good. You should play his game if you haven't. But actually, on that note, I don't know if there are any other adventure game developers in the chat, or if they're planning on releasing any adventure games in 2022. But first of all, I'll ask you guys, if any adventure game developer right now was planning on releasing their own adventure game in 2022, do you think they should go ahead? Is this announcement good for them, or will it take attention away from their game? Or do you think it could benefit them, maybe get more people playing games?
It's drawing mainstream attention back to the adventure game genre, so I don't think it's going to be very negative unless you come out on the same day.
I think, I mean, yes, I agree with Thomas. Unless if you're an adventure game and you're going to release on the exact same day, we don't have a specific release date, do we? We just got
we don't know when.
But then that would be, that's probably ill-advised.
That would be the equivalent of releasing your movie when there's a new Avengers movie. You probably don't even get a screen. Yeah,
that's like Horizon releasing a couple of weeks or a week. I think it was before Elden Ring. I don't think they were thinking that through.
Yeah, but they were very unlucky because the same happened with the original Horizon. So yeah.
So not the same day, but otherwise, of course, don't hold back on your game. We want to play your game. So.
Us adventure gamers, and sorry if I speak now for all of us, but we will still notice your game if you make your game noticed. It's not like one game is going to blow everything out of the water. It's not Elden Ring.
No, it isn't. Sorry if people thought it was. So if there's anyone in chat who thought they were here for a discussion about Elden Ring, but
I mean. It is an interesting stuff, because I saw a discussion with other with adventure game developers, and I think they were largely positive. Francisco Gonzalez said that he had a bump in followers on his Twitter because of close to this announcement, same day as this announcement. So obviously, I think people. It looks like people who have not played adventure games in a long time, they saw this announcement, and I guess they're now looking, are there still adventure games being made that are similar? And they see that, yes, there are. And they say, okay, Francisco Dave Gilbert.
That's one thing that if I can reach back to when you asked me when I replayed Monkey Island and stuff, is that there has been a lot of positive development in gameplay. And I when I replay those old games, then you notice that it's not as smooth as nowadays, like one of Dave Gilbert's games is, or Francisco Gonzalez, because those gameplay, that gameplay is way smoother now, and I think we're going to notice that in Return to Monkey Island as well, is that all the bumps are cleared out of this. I'm not sure. Did he say he's going to use Scum or rewrite Scum or write a new engine? Because I think he said he's going to lose the verbs, right?
Yeah, he definitely said he's losing. Well, I think he hasn't confirmed that now, but I think we're thinking of, he did this 2013 blog post, and he said if he was making Monkey Island again, and that was in 2013. He said this, so not now, but he said he'd get rid of the verbs, and I imagine he would do the same, because obviously, it's just it was of its time, wasn't it? It was great for the time, but now I think we've kind of moved on from it a little bit.
Yeah, no,
it just evolved.
It's number 5. I would lose the verbs. I love the verbs, I really do. If I was working it out, which I'm not, I wouldn't have it fully worked out. I might change. Yeah, so he said he would lose the verbs. This was back in 2013.
So maybe he'll bring her back by now. Who knows? But
yeah. Oh, who knows? Well, just in the chat again, people saying the frog said this is a good excuse to push back to 2023 if you've no hope of making your 2022 self-imposed deadline.
Yeah, hashtag blame Monkey Island.
Yeah.
Let's get that trending.
And he said it's a calculated pushback to 2023. That's nothing to do with not being able to finish in time. But it's but then another issue is, because this I think happened with Siberia, there were 1 or 2 developers who had pushed their game back to early 2022, because Siberia, the world before, was originally supposed to be released in December, but then they pushed their game back to early 2022. So
I think that's the thing. Don't rely on when, and this is what I've learned as someone into games, don't rely on when people say they're going to be releasing their game.
Exactly.
They probably won't be releasing their game.
It's a tentative release date.
Stick to your own schedule.
Yeah.
And in his blog run, Gilbert said that his game would be retro, that would harken back to Monkey Island 1 and 2, enhanced low res. It doesn't need 3D. Yes, I've seen the video, it's very cool. Monkey Island wants to be what it is. I would want the game to be how we all remember Monkey Island. Now, this was written, again, 10 years ago. We don't know if things have changed. And again,
well, they did do Thimbleweed Park in between, so that, I guess that gives us a bit of an idea. That's what Yakmak's Clip says as well.
The Dolores Thimbleweed game is supposedly the type of way his future games would go, so I reckon it would play like that. So asking you guys again regarding whether 2D, 3D, and I know I get tired of this debate myself as well, but with this Return to Monkey Island, from what we saw in the trailer, how would your game like to look? Would you like it to be pixel art like the first 2 Monkey Island games? Like to look like Thimbleweed Park or Dolores, or like Curse of Monkey Island? How would you like the graphics to be? And in the chat as well, how do you guys like this new game to look? Would it really matter? Like, if this game was in 3D, would this be like, no, I'm done. I'm not playing this game if it's not the way I want it to be?
If it's 3D like Gabriel Knight 3 was 3D, then no. But if it's if it's 3D like Heaven's Vault, then yes, why not? I mean, 3D now is completely different.
Yeah, exactly. It's improved a huge amount since Escape, since Simon the Sorcerer 3D, since Gabriel Knight 3. But Laura, do you have any preference?
It's hard to. I'm guessing the art style of the trailer is the art style we're going to get.
I like that. I really like.
I really liked it.
I think it looked very good. It looked kind of pretty beautiful, didn't it? But so there was some people saying they didn't like it, and it's just like, for goodness sakes, everyone always wanted pixel art. Obviously, pixel art is great. We all love pixel art. We love adventure games. We love pixel art, and pixel art can look fantastic. But I was pretty happy with how it looked in the trailer.
Yeah, I nice. Loved it as well. I mean, as you said, with some people, there's one guy even on Facebook said there was controversy, and I'm like, I don't see any controversy. And again, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. That is perfectly fine as well. But yeah, I would love if it was like in the trailer. I think it still looked Monkey Islandy.
It did. That's the thing. It looks like it was sort of cursed, but then a little bit more. I mean, I'm not a developer. I don't have the
yeah, myself. We're not artists. We're not,
I was like a little bit nicer. A little bit more, less cartoony, I guess is the thing I'm going for. A little bit more realistic, but not still cell shaded. Does that make any sense? I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, I think people are kind of agreeing with us in the chat. The Frog said I quite like the art side of the trailer, but it would be fun to have a pixel art option. Yak Whack Clips, I'm good with how it was in the trailer. Ideally for me, pixel would be the best, but I'm not one of those moaning with the look of it already.
I think it's more important to have a very good story.
Yes,
good gameplay.
That's a good point. Yeah,
it's the same with like I read a lot of comic books. I read a lot of comics, and you get a lot of different artists in there, and sometimes the artist doesn't really connect with you, but the story does. And then I don't mind the artist. If the story is shite as well, then I'm not going to read it. But I doubt it. If it's anything like the trailer, I'm going to love playing it. I hope.
Yeah, now Matthew Layton said I wasn't a fan of how Guybrush looked in the special editions, though. Hope it doesn't look like that. The Frog says they could do flashbacks and make those pixel art. That's a very interesting idea.
Ooh.
I like that idea.
The frogs.
Go on, from maybe you should get involved in making this game. Kieran says I absolutely love the look of Timberweed Park. I definitely favorite that, but the look of the trailers is still really nice. David says it could be a mixture of what the Frog says, could be fun game mechanic. The one thing that I would say about pixel art, now I love pixel art, but I think if it's, and this is from what I've heard from other people, it's not as commercial as even the graphics in the trailer. That from what developers have told me, from what I've heard, is if you want the game to be mainstream, I mean, again, there are exceptions, but it's less likely for this game to do as well commercially.
It's a more, I mean, it's not niche for us because loads of adventure games are pixel art.
Oh yeah, exactly. And we love pixel art here. I'm not saying about our thoughts. I'd be perfectly happy if the new Monkey Island game was pixel art.
But it is I think you're right in kind of the broader sort of spectrum of gaming. I think most gamers would see that as a retro game, not, it doesn't look like it's up to date.
Yeah, that's I think what people consider Dave Gilbert's games and Francis Gonzalez's games as retro, even though they're very modern because the way they look. So that would be the only thing. People said the same about Beyond the Steel Sky. They would have liked it to look like Beneath the Steel Sky, but again, these issues that you have to kind of
that's 3D and that looks fantastic.
Yeah, I love the look of that game. And by the way, Frog says, for this and other fun ideas for me, wish list of frogs on Steam.
There you go. And you should.
We got that in there. And what about then, so say this game is released and it's hopefully very successful. It does really well commercially. People love the game. Would we like to see Monkey Island in other forms of media, say as a TV series on Disney Plus, as a movie, although I know we got Pirates of the Caribbean, or as a novel? Again, I know we have On Stranger Tides, but would we like to see Monkey Island in other forms of media if this were to be really successful, or would we want to stick as adventure games?
I want to have some Monkey Island pops, Funko Pops. I've been wanting to have those.
I mean, I've got my little Guybrush. Shall I show you all my little Guybrush?
Show us your little Guybrush.
Whoa, careful now.
Is that allowed on YouTube?
I know we are live, so there's no editing involved. So
it's probably going to be. There you go. I've got my little Guybrush figure. There you go. Which we got. I
got him behind me as well in the bookshelf.
But I agree, Thomas. That would be cool.
I would love it if it captured the zeitgeist in some way. If it becomes a pop cultural phenomenon, but I'm not sure. Well, you never know how things go. Maybe it'll create such a rush of nostalgia that something happens. But I just want a good game. I just want a fun game.
There was actually a TV series based on the Maniac Mansion game. Do you guys know that?
I watched it.
Oh, you watched it? Okay, you do. What was it like? I've never seen it. Was it anything
terrible?
To do with the game?
Terrible.
This is the problem.
I've not finished it, but I've been wanting to finish it and then discuss it on the podcast. So we can probably do that in the future because it's completely bonkers. It's really weird and not in a good way.
No.
Yeah, I've heard it's nothing really to do. It's just using to name.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
that would be my concern.
Yeah. I would love for Ron Gilbert or for the original people to be involved if it was going to TV series or if they're going to write a novel. I mean, we've had
I would love to see an arcane style animation, because I think that is the best way to show it. Because if you do it real life, then you get either Pirates of the Caribbean or it sucks, because it's going to be freaking expensive to do it. But if you get an arcane style animation going from Monkey Island, I think that would be
that could be good.
Or what if from Marvel, something like that. I think it can have a home in animation.
Yeah, Matthew Layton says Monkey Island Cinematic Universe.
Yes, yeah, the MICU, yeah.
The frogs again said, I don't think other media would allow Monkey Island to be Monkey Island. I mean, look at what they did with Cuphead. I have to admit, I'm not aware of what Cuphead is. I'm sorry.
It's a very difficult game. You'd love it, Seoirse.
Oh, I'd love it, yes. Monkey Island VR experience, says David Watts. That would be.
Well, they did Sam & Max VR. I think it kind of... Yeah.
A Disneyland attraction.
Yes, Monkey Island.
Why not? A genuine Monkey Island Disneyland attraction.
It is based on Monkey Island is itself based on a Pirates of the Caribbean Disneyland attraction, so that would be
inspired. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And hello, Grundislav, Francisco Gonzalez.
Hello, Francisco.
Oh, should we read his question?
Yes.
Yes. Remember, we are live, so hopefully nobody will sue us for anything we say.
No.
Will Ron Gilbert finally show us all his big whoop?
Oh, I wanted to show us what is the secret of Monkey Island?
Yes.
Well, what about there's people to think the Great Voodoo Bake Off, Cook with LeChuck. Actually,
cool.
Would we like to see any spin-offs, either games or other media, with any of the characters, say with LeChuck, Stan, or
Counting with Murray.
Rolling with Murray. Or would it be maybe too much of a good thing? Like if we had a spin-off with just these characters, would they maybe, like with Stan or Murray, would they maybe, I don't know, get on our nerves a bit? I know that might be sacrilegious.
I would just be worried about them not doing it well. I just want them to do this first. But I don't know. Do we think any characters in the series would stand up to having their own sort of story told about them? I'm trying to think if there's anyone I'd be interested in knowing more about that we don't know more about already. Because that's the great thing about the series. Murray, yeah, I guess.
Or maybe something with the voodoo part of
the voodoo lady.
The cannibals from part 1, with the three-headed monkey.
Yeah.
A whole series dedicated to them.
I don't know. It could be I don't know. Could be a one-off.
No cannibals.
Monkey Island kart racer, obviously. Okay, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Dude, where's my ribcage starring Murray and Ashton Kutcher?
There was this fantastic game around the same era. I think it was released a few years before the original Monkey Island, which was called Sid Meier's Pirates, and that was one of the best games I've ever played. So it would be fun, and that was based in reality. So you would play the British or the Dutch or the Spanish or whatever, and you would try to find treasure and conquer others, and et cetera, et cetera. It would be fun if you could put a Monkey Island spin on that. Try to, or maybe you do a spin off with Elaine, and you try to run, make
That's
it.
What Kira mentioned.
Yeah, make it.
That would be cool.
I think with Elaine, definitely she's the most other interesting character apart from Guybrush. I think if there was a spin-off for any other character, her or even Morgan Le Fay again, who we mentioned, I think she could have her own spin-off as well. And now then regarding the gameplay, because Ron Gilbert in his blog trying to find it, he mentioned puzzles, and we've spoken about puzzles as well. And hint system. Here it is, number 4. He said it would be a hardcore adventure game driven by what made that era so great. No tutorials or hint systems or pansy-ass puzzles or catering to the mass market or modernizing. It would be an adventure game for the hardcore. You're going to get stuck. You're going to be frustrated. Some puzzles will be hard, but all the puzzles will be fair. It's one aspect of Monkey Island I'm very proud of. Read this. So he seems to be very passionate about that. I know people also feel passionately about puzzles as well. And I know we probably are more on the opposite end. At least I am, that yes, there should be puzzles, but I think there should be some ways to help people who do get stuck. But then who am I to argue with Ron Gilbert? I've never made an adventure game.
And let's be honest, nowadays you don't even need that anymore because once a game is released, within 24 hours, there's a walkthrough online somewhere. So
exactly.
A video walkthrough.
Yeah.
I know. But what do you guys think? Do you think that the puzzles should remain difficult, challenging? Do you think there should be any way?
I love the option of making it, doing the story mode or doing the challenging mode.
Yes.
I love that option. I would definitely pick challenging, as long as there are no monkey wrench puzzles in there.
Yeah. I think I'm fine with it being hard. Yeah, I'm fine with it being difficult, but like it's got to make sense. Like there's so many issues with adventure game puzzles where it's not that they're difficult. It's just that you're like, even if you do have to look up the answer, you've got to go, oh right, of course, not be like, what? As long as it's not got that reaction, I'm fine.
Yeah,
as long
logic.
as it's hard. Yeah.
Yeah. I think to be fair, a lot of the puzzles,
goats either.
I think a lot of the puzzles in Monkey Island 1 or 2 are probably fair, apart from the monkey wrench puzzle. They're still hard. I mean, as I said, I did use a walkthrough my first time playing it. But from what I remember, I think Seoirse had definitely more Moon Logic-y puzzles that you go like, wait, what? Now there were some puzzles as well. Day the Tentacle had where you need to wash the car to make it rain, because apparently when you wash a car, it will rain.
Rains. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, so there are puzzles like that. Yeah, I mean, again, who are we to argue with Ron Gilbert? First of all, if he can make the game that he wants to make, I think that would be the most important thing. But yeah, I'm definitely not against it being hard as well. Personally, I would like some option as well, some help, either a hint system or, as you mentioned, Thomas and Laura, like in Curse of Monkey Island, story mode or the more challenging mode, I think might be a good option as well. I'm
guessing he's not going to do that, but yeah. Yeah,
he seems to be, based on that blog post. And again, look, it is Ron Gilbert. He has the right to. He did include hints in Timbleweed Park, though. So maybe he has mellowed.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that as well.
Wasn't there the phone? You could call on the phone.
Oh, what? Isn't that Strangeland you're thinking?
As well, but Timbleweed Park, again, in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm
you're probably right. It's been a long time since I played the game.
I know. Now Matthew Latham says Discworld 2, where you literally pick up the suffragette and put her in the luggage. Have to play those games.
Some of the puzzles, it's ridiculous.
I have to play those. I bought those games on eBay for the PlayStation, and I have to get start playing them.
I mean, I have a theory, and I think developers have said this openly, that during the time when you had to buy walkthroughs, that there wasn't the internet. I'm pretty sure some developers, for every game, there was one obscure puzzle to get people to buy these walkthroughs, so that because that's how they made more money.
Disney is not. Did you hear about the Lion King debacle? Because the Lion King platform game, and I think it's also with the Aladdin platform.
That was my fantastic
platform games. But
yes.
Disney ordered the developers to make it so hard that someone could not complete it in a weekend.
Yes.
So when they rented it from Blockbuster or anywhere else, they would have to rent it again, so they would make more money.
Oh.
That doesn't surprise me, because that was the first game I ever played. I was 5 years old, and I apparently, and I didn't realize until this a lot later, but my parents said when I went to bed, they would try it as well, and they couldn't get past it either.
So it wasn't just you then.
No.
But yeah, Seoirse, I believe it was Ken Williams or Sean Mills in one of the books mentioned that Seoirse made more money from the walkthrough, from the guidebooks, than the actual games.
Yeah.
Not surprised there.
And now I know we probably will be finishing up soon, but we mentioned voice cast, that Dominic Armato will be returning as Guybrush Threepwood.
Yes.
And I can't remember the name of the person. I should know the actor returning as the Watchman, I believe. Do we have a dream voice cast for this game? Do we want anyone to play certain characters, or any voice actor that we would like
it's
to
difficult because the people who we know as those voices,
we don't know I don't know their names. So.
Oh no, fair, but as in, the people who we know, obviously Dominic and Martin we know, but I'm guessing the cast will return, and I kind of know them as those, the voodoo lady, all the people that are. I kind of want those to return because we're used to their voices, I guess. But are you saying if they didn't return, who would we want to voice the characters instead?
I want Anna Kendrick as Elaine.
Yes, that's a good.
I could see that working. Yeah.
It's Rob Paulson. Matthew Layton says,
Thanks,
thank you, Matthew. My memory is terrible. As we can see, Alexandra Boyd is back as Elaine. Oh, that's
great. Yeah, I thought she did a good job.
The original voices, original from I would love to get as many of those back. Yeah, but it's fun to speculate or to fantasize about celebrity voice acting. So why not? Who would be cast for LeChuck?
Or so Matthew Later says Danny Delk. I think he played Murray, so he's returning. Yeah, give the voice in the trailer. Not sure about Earl Bowen. I think he played LeChuck, but he's retired and 80 years old.
Who would make a good LeChuck? Celebrity wise, I'm trying to think.
What about live action? If we ever got a live action TV series, anybody who could play Guybrush or Elaine or Anna Kendrick, you mentioned.
Well, I would cast an unknown for Guybrush.
Yes, kind of like Jack Reacher.
Or Tom Holland. I think Tom Holland could possibly.
A Tom Holland type, definitely, yeah. Tom Holland.
He's got enough. He's Spider-Man. He's Nathan Drake. He's really good. He's
someone like Robert De Niro would make a nicely gruff LeChuck. Although I do think it might have to be British or Irish.
Hey,
Kieran Hines would make is that pronounced correctly?
Kieran Hines, yeah.
He could make an awesome LeChuck. He could be scary and funny.
What about Tim Curry? He could be.
He would be perfect, except that he is also far in his 80s, and I don't think he works anymore. So
no. Well, but hey, we're just coming out with ideas now.
I know. Oh, I know. Could play a great Guybrush Threepwood. Johnny Depp.
God.
I don't think that's happened. I don't think we've seen that. Well, Matthew Latham says, no, not Tom Holland. I like him, but no.
All right, fine.
No, but the type can be. The type, you need a young, like late teens, early 20s, who comes across as quite naive, because he is naive.
Yeah, exactly.
But he also has the physicality to do a bit like Tom Holland might be too fit, actually.
Tom Holland? No, he's good.
He's nerdy as well, like
yes, De Niro did a pirate in Dragon Stardust. Yeah. That is right, David Watts.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of Tom Holland, what about Zendaya as Elaine?
Oh, yeah.
That could work.
Zendaya,
could work. Definitely.
I think she'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
Brian Blessed for LeChuck. Whoa, that would literally blow the moon out of the water. Point him towards a ship, shout, go to the ship.
Oh my God, he'd be great. That'd be fantastic.
Well, I know we are getting on a bit, but Owen Wilson for Guybrush. That's an older Guybrush.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, as a narrator, that would be awesome.
Well, I know we are getting. What about the final question that I have is, do we have any theories? I know we spoke about expectations, but from the ending of Monkey Island 2, do we have any theories about what might be in store for Monkey Island 3? Again, Ron Gilbert says Monkey Island 3 is the curse is canon. But what do we think? Here's where we can speculate. We don't know anything. Need to stress that. We don't have any inside information. But what do we think? Where do we think the story might go based on the ending of Monkey Island 2?
I have no clue. I'm all there to be completely surprised.
Same. I mean, he says Murray's going to be in it. So how is Murray going to be in it? How's it going to...
But Chuck is going to be in it as well.
Yeah. So I mean, I just don't know. It's very... Because that ending was bonkers.
Yeah. It's like, how do you? I mean, it's kind of like talking about writing yourself into a hole. But if he has an idea... I'm sure he does now. He's making a third game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I genuinely have no idea. There were some intriguing discussions, even on the Adventure Gamers forums. One person said that what if Monkey Island 1 and 2 were prequels? That if the Curse and Escape and Tales were all what if they were prequels to Monkey Island 1 and 2?
Oh, sorry. So what if
if Monkey Island 1 and 2 were sequels to the Curse, Escape, and Tales? I know it's really, really mind-bending.
I don't think. No, I'm sorry.
I don't think so.
No, I'm sorry.
I don't like that theory.
Would this be between Monkey Island 2 and the Curse of Monkey Island?
I think that's what Ron seems to have said. Yeah, previously. So I think he said that it's sort of 3A, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, because the Curse kind of la la lad, the ending of Monkey Island 2, like okay, now we're going to do our own thing.
And if you look at the trailer, it says it's the official sort of account for the trailer. In the description, it says something like it's the follow up to Monkey Island 1 and 2. So that's what. So it's clearly it's coming after 2. Yeah.
Well, it's sort of if it comes after 2 and it's before 3, well, we can really only think about that once we know what the story is, because
once we have some idea, that is true. Well, look, it is interesting. It says to be released in 2022. We shall see. But it is great that a new Ron Gilbert Monkey Island is coming back, and we will talk more about it once we know more. We'll talk about it in the general podcast. Again, for anyone watching, you can listen to us if you don't already every month, more or less, on a podcast. We also do interviews. And I should mention this as well. If you would like to help support us and support Adventure Gaming, you can, if you want to, support us on Patreon. You will get episodes, well, not like these. This is live for everyone, but regular episodes first before anyone else, plus some extras. But you can check us out on patreon.com/Adventure Games Podcast. Other ways you can help is leaving a review and following us on Twitter. Maybe not in real life if you are in Ireland or the UK.
Don't follow us.
But at least buy us lunch.
Yeah. Exactly, buy us lunch, buy us coffee. But also thank you to all the people who listen and all the supporters who have listened to us over the years now as we waffle on about our favorite genre, one of our favorite hobbies. Adventure games, and Laura, you have a Twitch stream as well, I believe.
I do, yes, indeed. So
we used to have one too. For us.
Yeah, we used to.
I know.
You stuck with it though. You stuck with it, Laura. So where can people find you on Twitch?
It's just twitch.tv/Cressup. CRESSUP.
And you play mainly adventure games, but also other games, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty. I'm going back to mainly indie games, I would say. Just played Chinatown Detective Agency today, which was good fun.
Nice. Yeah, no, hopefully we'll be playing that soon as well. And we'll hopefully be reviewing it in the next episode.
Something needs to happen first.
Yes.
But yeah, so thank you to everyone for watching. And if you're listening to this at a later date, thank you. And again, you can also watch this afterwards. If you are so inclined. And yet now we cannot promise anything, but I would love to have some of the developers, some of the people working. I did speak to David Fox before, so it's possible if he would want to come on again.
If Ron Gilbert wants to promote his game if anybody, our 10,000 listeners.
If anybody knows Ron Gilbert or anybody has any contacts, send them our way. Or anybody working on the game as well, we're happy to talk to anyone. Dominic Armato, Dave Grossman.
Oh, yeah, any of those people would be great.
Yeah, we're easy. We'd be delighted to talk to you as well. So thank you guys. And yeah, David Watts, the Cressup streams on Twitch are great.
David, you.
Charmer. No, they are as well. So thank you guys. Any parting thoughts, any last words for this stream?
It's a good time to be an adventure game fan.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the adventure game genre is alive.
Yes.
I know more about the adventure game genre dying or drying up or not a lot of games. Yeah, no. Let's just stop with that nonsense.
Yeah.
And last time we will say that. And Laura, anything you'd like to say?
No, I just echoed Thomas. Yeah, stop saying adventure games.
Yeah, exactly. They're alive.
For sake.
They're alive. Never been more alive.
Yeah.
So yeah. So thank you, guys. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks, I imagine, with our regular review episode.
2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Well, and, are we going to put this one on the stream as well?
Yeah, this will be on the podcast stream as well and on our YouTube channel. So, thank you, everybody. Take care. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much for listening.